best manager of Liverpool FC is a fairy tale and a very difficult thing to plan. I would say impossible to plan and difficult to reach. But it's only possible if you are very busy and 100,000% committed to everything you do when you dedicate your whole life to it. That's what I did. And I came here and I said it on the first day, as a normal guy. I am still a normal guy. I just don't live a normal life for too long now. And I don't want to wait until I'm too old for having a normal life. And I need at least to give it a try at one point to see how it is. Will I miss it? Well, I said I never had this really before, so I need to give it a try, and it's the right moment for me, and I think it's the right moment as well for the club, because I can't do the job from next year on anymore as I did it before, and then I'm not the right one anymore. I tried to describe it already. I had to explain it to Ulla clearly, and I tried to explain it with I am like a proper sports car, not the best one, but a pretty good one, can still drive 160, 170, 180 miles per hour, but I'm the only one who sees the tank needle is going down. The outside world doesn't see that, that's good. So you go as long as you have to go, but then you need a break. And that's exactly what I know I have to do, but nobody has to worry until the end of this season. I know that I will be fine until then. Best manager of Liverpool.
Jurgen Klopp out by his own hand at the end of the year at Liverpool. That coming across the social media channels for Liverpool this morning, 5:30 or so, local time, our time here on the East Coast. He will be speaking at 10 o'clock our time, having another press conference. And so he had his pre-weekend press conference yesterday, had the release of the information on the social media channels, thanks to, once again, to Liverpool and their social media this morning, for releasing various and sundry sections of this. And so he's going to have another press conference at 3 o'clock local time, 10 o'clock our time, so we'll keep an eye on that. So how was your Friday? Liverpool is going to be looking for a lot of different folks, not just Klopp. Announced later on Friday their time, sporting director George Schmadtke leaving at the end of the January transfer window. Klopp's assistants, Pep Linders and Peter Krawietz, as well as elite development coach Vitor Matos, all leaving at the end of the season. Liverpool said in a statement that Linders is keen to pursue his own career in management. So this is going to be an overhaul of overhaulish proportions. An overhaul of overhaulish proportions that Liverpool is going to have to be working their way through. But at least you have a bit of a runway now where Jurgen Klopp has made the announcement. This is going to be seismic. Well, it's been seismic, about 3.5 hours worth, across the entire landscape. Xabi Alonso had his press conference this morning, or he's talking right now. And, of course, speculation is there as to who's next. Man makes an announcement. Season isn't even over. And everybody's trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be the sub? Who's taking over Liverpool? That's what you're looking at right now, with Liverpool losing Klopp to assistants and another elite member of your front office and of your sporting team. First question of the day. When was the last time we had a moment this seismic? Where coach, by all indications, still in his prime, even though he admits that he's, still a pretty good-looking sports car, can still do the 160, 170, 180, but he wants to take a break, and who can blame him? after everything that he has accomplished in the time that he's been there. And remember, when he started, Jurgen Klopp, it was a slow start. Everyone's sitting there saying, okay, you're bringing in Jurgen Klopp and you don't get the instant results. And, of course, being today with instant gratification and such, I don't know about this guy. Patience was there from Fenway Sports. Patience was there from the front office. Everything happened, and you now what you're looking at now with Jurgen Klopp. And the season tickets, the second half of the season, the tickets for the home matches, I think went on sale earlier this morning. So good luck getting a ticket for the rest of the season and finding a seat at Anfield. Secondary market is going to be incredible trying to get into Anfield for the remainder of the year. And what this also does is it gives Liverpool the motivation, the players, because you want to send out Jurgen Klopp on a high. You want to make sure that as they're chasing quad right now, you want to send Jurgen Klopp and everyone else who's leaving out on a high. So that's what you're staring at this morning from Liverpool. As Jurgen Klopp has submitted to the social media channels that he's leaving at the end of the year. Had to explain it to his wife. It's like, yeah, I'm still good, but I want to have a normal life for a bit. How long is that normal life? Does he take a year off? Does he backpack around Europe? Does he just kind of chill? Because you know that the second that any of the networks that have Premier League contracts and stuff, you know that they are going to want to bring Jurgen Klopp in to have that big old smile and have him talk about things in the Premier League. You know that there's going to be punditry that will be attached. That is definitely going to happen. So that's where we are. Jurgen Klopp, 2 main assistants, Elite Sports Performance, all leaving at the end of the season. Schmadtke leaving at the end of the January window. So you're going to get your business done. Right now you've signed 43 guys in the tenure of Jurgen Klopp. Figure out how you want to close your window. Schmadtke's out the door. 2 assistants out the door. Elite Performance out the door. This is going to be one of the toughest fills, I think, in recent memory when it comes to trying to figure out who is going to be the next manager of Liverpool. And so that's what you're staring at right now. So obviously that's the big thing this morning. And here's what Ed Mackey over at The Athletic, for those of you who are looking at the dates in the calendar, you've got the Carabao Cup, you've got Gummy Bear Cup against Chelsea on February 25th. Tom has mentioned this morning, he says he does often try to imagine a world without a world image we never did leave. And those bastard red stepchildren would never even be in existence. Knew that was happening. And so you've got the final Merseyside derby against Everton on Saturday, March 16. Keep an eye on that because of TV coverage. You know, that's going to blow up. Final Premier League away match against Villa May 11th. Once again, they may set it aside for TV. Final Premier League home match on the 19th against Wolves. Potential Europa League final on May 22nd. And then a potential FA Cup final on the 25th of May. Potential quadruple? Yeah, you can stare at it. So that's the large news this morning, and we bring in Nick here to kick things off on a Friday. So how was your overnight?
Hey, exciting, amazing. I will say that the event yesterday was fantastic up at Top
Yes.
Golf. I
Yes.
didn't golf because I'm interested in the safety and well-being of everyone around me.
Correct.
So,
I'm right there with you, brother.
but I will say that I got one of the greatest gifts I think I've ever received in my life yesterday.
Yes, I
yeah.
saw this. So please, as opening kickoff gravitates into last night and talking about last night, go for it.
Yeah. So Michael Valverde, who was brave enough, crazy enough, I don't know, to ask me my input on his Italy trip.
Uh-huh.
I directed him to Sicily, right? And so he went, which shocked me. He went, and then he found the Alifis down in Syracuse and proceeded to bring back. And as I tell him, so I'm like, apparently my family has like a winery. I haven't tried it, but it's there. And of course, Michael's like, challenge accepted. Finds them, brings back a bottle of wine that he gave me yesterday with my family's name on it, my family crest on it. It took everything I had not to go blubbering full on tears, everything. So, Mr. Valverde, thank you so much. Saw Abster there.
Yeah.
Right. Saw a bunch of people there. It was a great event. And then we wake up this morning and find out that Klopp is being extraordinarily honest. And I think it's refreshing. I'm just running out of energy.
Yeah.
So.
And in this day and age, I'm glad that we have folks who are confident enough in themselves to sit there and be open and honest about it. It's like, I can still do it, but I need a bit of a break. And to have someone, he said that he did this himself because he had the feeling that he wasn't going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
And,
no, they're not going to fire.
Yeah, and to have the kind of confidence in yourself and the understanding in yourself to sit there and go, I can do this, but doing it over and over and over again and year after year after year after year, man, that's taken a lot out of me. I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And there are folks that can sit there, and I think that there are a lot of us that I think in this day and age get it. But then I'm sure there are some of us in this day and age that sit there and go, nah, come on, man, you still got it. You're good. Everything's great.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be the guy that stays at the party too long.
No, you don't. But this, as all men do, my mind immediately goes back to ancient Rome. And, fresh off a victory, Caesar rides through the city, for the tribute. Flowers are being tossed from the ramparts, and everybody's just cheery and happy. And next to Caesar is a slave, and the slave's job is to whisper in Caesar's ear, all this will end. All of this one day will end.
Yeah.
And this generation, I'm talking about the generation of, let's say 30, 35 to, people north up to 50 have been spoiled with long-term success, right? So you look at Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson for so long. If you support Juventus, I don't know why, but, long-term success. You had Milan win 7 Champions Leagues, right? Long-term success. You had, Bayern Munich, long-term success. U.S. sports, the Yankees for a long time were very successful. You had, Alabama, right?
Yeah,
and I had to have this conversation with my son where, he was talking all this trash on behalf of Alabama, right? Because he's a diehard Bama fan.
I'm sorry.
Don't know how it came to be. I think I have a rough idea. It's kind of crazy story. We won't get into that right now. But he is a diehard Bama fan. And I said, look, man, one day all of this ends. Saban's going to walk off into the sunset. He's going to go retire with Miss Terry up at Burton, and it's going to be a wrap. No, he won't. No. Sure enough,
Mm-hmm.
Nick walks off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing now. But, the last thing you want to do is run yourself into the ground. You want to live while there's living to do.
Yeah.
You're not your job. So good for Jurgen for saying, hey, man, let's end this thing while everyone has good, happy feelings and not live long enough to become the villain.
And he admitted that he informed Fenway Sports Group of this desire back in November. So he's been sitting on this for 6 weeks up to 2 months. He's been sitting on this for a while, and they've obviously begun the process. He told the players at a meeting before training today from our friends at the Sunday Times, he felt it was vital that the players and supporters heard the news from him. And in this day and age, for this piece of information, Nick, to sit from November till now, that's rare.
Oh my God. That's unbelievably rare. I mean, this is up there. Like this is like when Chadwick Boseman, may rest in peace, was dealing with cancer, and not one person in his circle, not one person with the Marvel group, with his co-stars, no one leaked it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like, 2 steps short of water into wine, that, he was able to go out on his terms in a peaceful way, not having the media circus. And then you have something like this, which is even more psychotic because the media in England, one is they're clinically insane. And then 2, that not one person in that orbit said anything. No one had a clue.
Yeah.
And that shows the level of respect in that locker room and that org for Klopp, because somebody along, even some mid-level manager, could have been like, hey, so like 300 grand, 3-letter paper. How much?
Yes,
how much for this?
Absolutely.
And people walked away from paydays for that, man. So I think it's incredible and good for him. And in U.S. soccer, you have a choice. You have a choice right now, U.S. soccer. You could sit there and you can say, we are okay with pleated khaki man hanging out on the sideline, essentially soccer's version of Arthur Smith on the sideline, doing random experiments for no reason whatsoever, and not utilizing talent in the best position or the best ways that they should. Or you can frickin' dream. Or you can dream. What do you want to do, U.S. soccer? You want to dream big, baby? You want to dream big, or do you want to be mired in mediocrity? What do you want to do? It's time to dream, baby. Time to dream. It's up to you. I'm just saying. I think Jurgen would like, I think Jurgen would like a national team job. So, one where there's not an insane amount of pressure.
Yeah.
So, well, here's 2 things that I think that would keep Klopp from doing this. One, Klopp is, I'm not going to say he's a socialist, but he is very left wing, right? And then 2, he, there's the amount of the pay is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So I think those 2 things right there would probably keep him from taking that job.
Well, the women's side opened up the piggy bank and brought in Emma Hayes.
Well, that's because the women's side has ambition, and the women's side understands that mediocrity is
unacceptable.
Right. The men's side of the game for too long has stood in and marveled at its own magnificence in a mirror in a dusty room, proclaiming itself to be wonderful, only to have nothing to show for it. So, it's up to you to decide if you want to be great or not. Look, he needs Jurgen, I think, needs that step down period where he needs to kind of like go and, I don't know, wander Bavaria for a little while, get into adventures.
Put on the backpack and don't get a bus ticket and just kind of sit there and get your Euro rail and a backpack and hit the road.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to show up like in the South Tyrol region, and they're going to find Jurgen working at like some Alpine coffee shop, and he's just going to be jamming out, like listening to Iron Maiden or something. And they're going to be like, like, aren't you? It's like, no, that is not me. I'm, that is my my cousin. We have a strong interest in the favor of each other.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. So yeah,
I did it for Halloween once.
I'm just saying that's what he needs to do, and then U.S. Soccer needs to send an emissary and like actually have like, I don't know, like the Batman Begins or something, like the jet lands the random mountain runway. It's like somebody gets up.
You get like four dudes in identical suits and sunglasses.
Yes,
the same look. They all get off the wheels up flight.
That's right.
And they get met at the airport by the aide that was there 2 days before. We haven't been able to spot him. We thought he was here. We haven't found him.
Yeah, it's the intro to Justice League where Bruce Wayne has to go and recruit Aquaman in the random like Norwegian village.
Yes, and then it's like, man, we thought he was here. It's like we had him tracked down, and now we've lost him. And they're all sitting at the coffee shop in the middle of in Soccerbergstrom, and then all of a sudden, dude comes walking up from outside the frame. It's like see these four folks sitting at a table, and they're trying to rack their brains. It's like, we had him, but we lost him. And then out of the frame, and dude comes wandering over to the table, out of frame, goes, "You're looking for me."
That's right. Yeah, but see, you could also have the John Wick intro, right, where Jurgen, like, somebody starts talking trash about aggressive football or something, and and Jurgen like smashes a beer mug and like takes out three dudes. He's got like the long hair.
I know there's something about that.
Round glasses. Like, I'm just saying, like, this could happen. We can really make something spectacular here.
Could you imagine the promotional video for the next job that he accepts if you did something like that?
Well, that's the thing, is that Jurgen is, if you're doing something like this, you're different. Right? It is entirely possible that Jurgen could go to like a German third division team.
Yeah.
And be like, I have no interest in moving up. This is where I would like to be. I have plenty of money. I can live like I want to live. Or, he could take on a side that has historically shown zero ambition, like the U.S. men's national team program, and say, all right, we are cleaning house, and we are, we're going to have players that believe in themselves, and we're going to have a program that wants to do something a bit exciting. And why not?
Yeah.
Half your good players have German experience, so it makes sense, does it not?
Yeah, it does.
But the question is who's going to back up the Brinks truck, and does Jurgen want to make the move?
And that's, right now you've already got, you got odds makers who are already sitting there and staring at folks. You're looking, Schabi has been a part of this discussion. Nagelsmann has been a part of this discussion. You've got Stevie G, who is doing poorly in the Middle East in that league that we neither condone nor endorse nor promote. And he got a contract extension, even though he hadn't apparently won a game since October. So you're already getting the vultures who are circling here.
Well, Stevie G is out of the question. Out of the question. Doesn't need to happen. No business happening. Stevie G slipped on his opportunity, shall we say. Xabi Alonso, to me, is the best option out there. And if he is the Brinks truck guy, he's the guy that you load up a C-17 with just buckets of cash and just fly it. Say, look, dude, come on. we know that you're saying that you're having a great time where you are, but let's just be serious here. You know, do you want a situation where you're going to constantly be butting up against the concrete ceiling of Bayern Munich, or do you want to actually go somewhere where you can possibly win the league? And so, you know, it's I think there's something there with that. But as far as Nagelsmann goes, with the flame out of the German national team gig.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't. And here's the thing. I don't think the German national team gig is entirely his fault. There's a lot of there's a
lot of Jogi Löw waiting too long to do much of anything, and the German national team waiting too long to jettison Jogi Löw.
Yes, and they really, in the college football term, they did not leave much in the cupboard for him, right? Nope. That the recruiting lines were completely busted, and it was yeah. So anyway, but that doesn't mean he's mentally in a place where he's able to do that.
Yeah,
there's the entropy in the German Die Mannschaft is pretty prevalent right now, right? It's the gradual decline into disorder, which I think is the prime definition of entropy, and that's where they are now. So you got to get Xabi in there, and you got to pay what it's going to pay. If not Xabi, then I am open to a Nagelsmann, but I don't think you're gonna. No, I don't think you're gonna have any luck. Finding somebody who's going to come in and replicate that style. And we've all been in bad breakups before, right? And there's always been one bad breakup where you find someone who is like a little too similar to the ex.
Mm-hmm.
They look a little too similar. The attitude's a little too similar. And then you kind of catch yourself and you're like, I might need to go in a different direction.
Yeah, I better call this quits right now.
Yeah. And I think that's what Liverpool has to be careful of. Like, it's not just, well, let me go find the next, let me go find the next, Jurgen clone.
I want the next Klopp. Well, maybe you really don't.
No, maybe you need to find something different, right? This is a time for self-discovery, right? We're working on ourselves at the moment.
Yeah.
And no, Ancelotti is not going to Liverpool. He's not leaving Real Madrid. When he walks away from Real Madrid, he's done.
Yeah.
He's done. It's wraps. He does not want it. The guy turned down Brazil.
Yeah, well, Brazil is an ish show right now, too.
Well, it is. So, there's going to be a lot of conversation around what's going to happen with Ancelotti when he walks away from Real Madrid. That man is walking to the coast. He's walking to the Amalfi Coast, and he's going to be having like endless pasta dishes. That is his dream. If you read his autobiography, you get a very clear sense. Oh, okay. The Ancelotti to Liverpool was because I thought Ricky Ricardo was saying that. He clarifies, I am not talking about Ancelotti to Liverpool. He's talking about Xabi to Madrid.
Okay.
Yes, that makes a hell of a lot more sense. So yeah. So Xabi to Madrid is going to be an issue that Liverpool will have to overcome. I think that's an excellent shout out, Ricky Ricardo. But that is, yeah, don't be in that situation where you try to find the next best Klopp.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you need to find what is the next best manager who plays the style of football that you want to play.
Right.
And what is your team built for now? So you may have to find a Klopp acolyte to sort of short-term you. However, I don't think that needs to be the long-term answer unless you catch magic in a bottle. Yeah, Niall says the Xavi to Madrid is a nightmare for me. Yeah, that's a nightmare for a lot of people because if he goes to Madrid and turns them up another notch, right now they're winning on the power of friendship. I mean, you get Xavi in there, it's going to be a freaking nightmare for everyone.
Xavi was at his pregame Leverkusen press conference about an hour ago. Quote, "First of all, it was a surprise, but I have huge respect for Jurgen. Huge admiration before coming to Liverpool, and during his years, it has grown bigger, what he has achieved and the way he has achieved it. At the moment, I'm really happy here." You have to say that. "And enjoying my work here. I'm feeling each day and each game as a challenge, and we are in an intense but in a beautiful journey here in Leverkusen. I'm trying to give my best to help my players be ready for the next thing, and that's my goal. What will come next, I don't know."
Well, here's the thing, is that culturally, we're in a different place now where there are people still out there with just raw and naked ambition to climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter what obstacles are there, no matter what, I'm climbing the ladder. I'm getting to the top. I'm going to be the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. More and more, you're seeing people kind of be like, I'm happy. I'm making good money. I think I'm just going to live my life and be happy with the money I have. Like I don't need the McMansion. I don't need the stress of that real crazy finance gig in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I'm very happy here where I'm at. My kids are happy. I'm happy. Happiness has sometimes happiness means not having everything.
Yeah.
And so it seems more and more like people are figuring that out around the world. Maybe because I don't know that the global economy has been so stupid for so long. I mean, this is what happens when you have a generation that grows up after the economic collapse of 9/11 and then the economic collapse of 2008 and then COVID. And then, I mean, we're kind of like, hey, you know what? Maybe I can just be happy with some simpler things. But as Ming the Merciless and Flash Gordon said, they'll be happier with less.
They'll be happier with less.
And so I think that's where there's some people now. Dell, I'm seeing it more. Dell asked, is this an American culture shift? I think there is an American culture shift when it comes to that kind of employment psychosis of, you have some people who are just like, I'm working 55, 60 hours a week, not because I have to, but because I want to. I live on LinkedIn. I do these like 15 paragraph posts. I think that there's a gradual shift there. And so you find people who are more happy now in different ways, shall we say, than the 1980s Wall Street culture. So,
yeah. Maddie is in charge of the ones and twos, and she has requested to drift in and let everybody know what's on her mind. So, Maddie, what's on your mind?
Hey, everybody.
Yo.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like this whole talk, just like with Klopp, especially him leaving, it's just, I'm just going through like Twitter, even just like now and like looking at everything. And, I feel like with like certain like news of this, you have people who are upset about his departure. And then you have people who are like commending him for what he's doing. It reminds me a lot, and I don't want to put this into the perspective of like college football right now, but it reminds me a lot of the Nick Saban retirement.
Right.
Like it's this, like, it's not mourning, but it is because of how tremendous his career has been.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also goes into question in the talks of possibly mental health and the way everything works, especially in football itself, I think especially with how he's talking about it, like he's a normal person.
Yeah.
Listen, he could.
No, Eddie Howe is happy. Eddie Howe is quite happy.
Eddie Howe's staying as much as I wish. Eddie Howe's staying.
Dell wants Klopp. Klopp is not going to Newcastle, so Dell.
No,
any of that.
He is not. He's already said in his thing that if he would never manage another club in England unless it was Liverpool. So
Right. Yeah. So you're dealing with that.
Dealing with that. But
the quote that you
just
came up with for Klopp in that video. If you ask me now if I will ever manage again, I would say no. But you don't know, obviously, as I've never had this situation. But I do know definitely I will never manage a different club in England than Liverpool. It is impossible.
which I respect it. I mean, the success he had with Liverpool, I mean, it's going to be hard, and especially the legacy that he has there. You know, I respect it 100%. And I respect it a lot more too, just because, you know, he was honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that you don't see often. You don't see like players, you don't see coaches, you know, coming forward and talking about that stuff and that being that vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing. It was nice to like listen and to get to be like, oh wow, like he's really like laying it out there, because I think he cares. He really cares about this club. He cares about it, and he cares about the fans, and he was like, I need to let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know. It was a really cool video. If you get the chance to watch the whole 22, I mean, I was kind of like on the brink of tears a little bit at one point. It was really nice. It was really moving. And it was really cool to get to see a coach kind of, you know, be so vulnerable, talk about their struggles with this, why they're doing this decision, and then kind of just being upfront. And, you know, we have the press conference in less than 20 minutes. So that's going to be another one that, you know, I'll be listening in. I'll find things and bring it in here. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yep. Niall, U.S. Soccer should at least give Klopp an interview. Like I said, Maddie's on the ones and twos. She traditionally is, and she keeps us honest, and she keeps us on the beat. So you're going to keep an eye on what's going on overseas, allegedly in 17 minutes. And if there's anything, obviously, that's breaking with it, any other revelations or anything like that, you're going to let us know.
Absolutely.
All right. We will see Maddie in a little bit. So once again, Maddie drifting in to let us know what's going on, because she sees different things than I see and that Nick sees. And so having that extra set of eyes in here, she keeps us all honest in the morning. Bart, Berhalter out, Klopp in after a Copa America failure. Oh, I'm sure that there are some folks that would wish that to be the case. But Nick, to your point, Bart says Xabi and Vincent Kompany are the two smart picks for Liverpool. So I hope they hired Gerrard.
I think Liverpool will make a competent hire. I think they will make it. They aren't going to be in the same position as, say, Man City when that time comes. And I think that's part of what the issue is, right? Is that even if you hate Liverpool, right? And Liverpool fans just, you know, I'm sorry, the poet must not avert his eyes. Mm-hmm. There was a long period of time, Liverpool fans, where you guys were like, you know, we are the plucky upstarts. we are the raging against the machine. We are the last stand of the purest in football. And I'm sorry, you guys had a ton of cash pouring in. I mean,
Fenway Sports Group is not Robin Ryan, okay?
Right? And you know, this is not a Leicester City situation here. But you guys had one of the premier managers in all of world football. Like if somebody said, name me the top 5 managers in world football right now, Klopp's name's going to be in there, even by people who hate Liverpool.
Yeah.
People who cannot stand Liverpool. They don't want to hear about, oh, it's the top of the cup, baby. They don't care about that, right? But they have to understand that at the end of the day, Klopp was one of the best out there, and he's walking away. And then you have Pep, who is, you know, notoriously said that he's wanting to, you know, hang it up before too terribly long. Then he's going to be going. And then what's scary is what's behind him. I think now De Zerbi is a great call. De Zerbi and Liverpool would be interesting.
Yeah, he said, De Zerbi at his presser this morning says, if Klopp changes country, the Premier League is losing one of the best coaches in the world. I can understand him running out of energy. I think this work is the best work you can do, but it's very tough. You need energy. You have to push every day. You have to study. You can't stop your improvement, end quote.
Right.
So, De Zerbi, I mean, among one of the early names in the frame, according to our friends at The Guardian, among bookmakers anyway, to replace Jurgen Klopp. There's no news on my contract, he says, but my focus is just on the last part of the season with Brighton, and they have Sheffield United in the FA Cup on Saturday. So that's where De Zerbi is at the moment.
My Italian brother. I wish if he goes to Liverpool, it's going to be hard for me. It's going to be hard if he goes to Liverpool.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Straight swap. Arnold and Klopp. All right. So this morning, obviously, Maddie's going to keep an eye on what's going on with the new Jurgen Klopp press conference coming up in about 15 minutes. We've got other things to talk about. We have Atlanta United starting their exhibition season, their preseason season in Birmingham tomorrow. The game is going to be streamed, and you'll be able to listen to Mike and Jason. We'll all be there. Remember, after the fact, we're going to be at Ghost Train Brewing in Birmingham starting at about 5 o'clock, when we can all leave protective, get out of there in one piece, and head over to Ghost Train. It's going to be me. It's going to be Maddie. It's going to be Jason, Kaylor Hodges from the USL show. Hopefully some representation from the supporters groups for both Atlanta and Birmingham, and maybe some representation from the front office of Birmingham like we've had in years past. So it's going to be fun going over to Birmingham, getting the season kicked off. Nick, when it comes to Atlanta United, other than the obvious Mike Conteism of no one gets hurt, what are you looking for tomorrow?
No one to get hurt. That's it. That's all I care about. It's preseason. There's a part of me that wants a clean sheet simply because I just don't want the buffoonery to get started. To me, that's the big thing. I don't want some of the ruffians to start finding ammunition to lob at the team in preseason. The ruffians. So I would like a clean sheet. That would be swell. I don't think it's going to happen because typically in friendlies, you're like, okay, we're going to give them one, we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. But again, no one gets hurt. And what's the visa situation? Those are my top 4 things that I care about with this game.
No one gets hurt. And we're hoping that the visa situations are fixed. I can completely and totally understand that. You've got, I'm looking at, yeah.
Delza, you called?
Yes, you rang.
I am yonder ruffian.
Yes. You end up and obviously all right. So Emilio, we'll get into Emilio's thought, because that also was a part of the naming of the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll get into the chain of conversation that was announced yesterday for Atlanta United as well, with that slight change. I'm looking forward to. I mean, I don't know how many minutes you're going to get from Gregerson. I don't know how many minutes you're going to get Sleesh out there. The newer acquisitions in this window. Do you end up with 45s? Do you end up with 30s? Those kinds of things. I want to see how it looks at the back. I want to see how everything kind of orients itself and what these first couple of stages are when it comes to everything. And by the way, Atlanta United, if you follow them on the media that is social on the 280 character app, it looks like the first 4 matches now of the 5 in preseason are going to be streamed. So Birmingham will be streamed on the .com. It will be streamed on Twitter and on the FaceSpace and on the YouTubes. The game in Athens will be streamed. the 2 games in Tampa on the 7th against CF Montreal and the 10th against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Those will be streamed. No live stream for the match in Miami. I'm guessing it's at Messi and Friends Arena against Sporting Kansas City. That one on the 17th is closed door, no live stream. But 27th, 3rd, 7th, and 10th, those are now going to be streamed. So,
That's good.
yeah, so that's stellar work by Matt Moore and everybody that's a part of making those things happen. So 4 of your first 5 get streamed, and you get to see the progression. And that's frankly what I'm looking at. I want to see the orientation of the new guys and how they're fitting in, and how you get that first preseason, the first full preseason with TRA, with Shande Silva, with Saba, with DJ Crazy Times and Gigi up top, and Tristan Muyumba coming in. And so you saw how things were when they brought the guys in from the distressed markets in the summer window. Now you're getting them for a training camp, and now you're bringing in Steve. Now you're bringing in Gregerson. All these different pieces that you now have, and you've got for a full training camp.
Look, Gigi being healthy and having a legitimate break behind him is, to me, the most exciting part, because you saw what he could do when he was physically exhausted.
Yep.
Right. I mean, he was in the Golden Boot hunt, physically and mentally exhausted. A healthy, physically and mentally rested Gigi. That's like, we need to start having like the "if you smell," that the theme just ready to go.
Yes.
Because, and then the Greek eyebrow, let's just saying. Can we get into the Rich McKay deal?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and jump into this. All right. So Steve Cannon, who I've met and just profound respect for, he and I have some beef, John. He and I have some beef. I respect him, but we have beef because. And I hope, Steve, you're listening to this, Mr. Cannon. I have a statement for you right now, sir. And that is your Army Golden Knights may have won this past year in the Army-Navy game. But I will have you know that the tables will soon turn. Your fortunes shall change, sir. And Navy will once again rule the day. So prepare yourself accordingly for that. And I
feel that there is a side bet between the two of you that's brewing.
I have tried to get him. And look, let's be honest. The economic status between myself and Mr. Cannon is vast.
Oh, I was thinking something along the lines of perhaps push-ups or a workout regimen or something like that.
No. I was going to bet a beer. One tasty beer.
One tasty beer.
With Mr. Cannon, or the Trading Places bet of the $1.
$1.
Yeah, which is like the amount of pride you must give up to reach into your pocket and pull out the crisp $1 bill and place it in someone else's hand. Yeah, that is what if Mr. Cannon would like to step up, we can have that. But I think he's seeking a different venture in life. And this is, Rich McKay is moving into this sort of, he's still the CEO of AMBSE.
Mm-hmm.
He has been effectively fired as a decision maker from the sporting perspective.
Right.
Okay. He is not, there's no decision-making process with him in the Atlanta Falcons anymore. The coach and the general manager answer directly to Arthur Blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Garth Lagerwey is still the decision-maker for Atlanta United. Okay. So that's it. That it is the, like, Rich McKay, the conversation from, as it was told to me, will be more of, hey, you guys are flying commercial, or you guys flying charter? Okay. All right. You guys are flying commercial. Why are we flying commercial? Or any sort of super major expenditure that is going to be end up on the ledger for
Or-
ANBSE.
Or literally, because you're only allowed X number of charters a year, to have
Right.
someone like a Rich McKay who has been in these kinds of, third level high negotiations about things that are vital to franchise success on a
Yes.
corporate level to other leagues. Hey, my time in the NFL, we did this, and this, and you can bring that kind of
Yes.
advice to Major League Soccer about how to continue to grow as a league with just little things that really are big things.
Yeah, and you can hate on Rich McKay all you want. I mean, some of it I may agree with you on, but Mercedes-Benz Stadium, getting the Super Bowl here, getting the college national championship here, a lot of the big things that have happened, the big sporting events that have happened here, have his fingerprints on them, whether you like the guy or not. So I do agree, though, that he does not need to be a part of the decision-making process from a sporting perspective.
Right.
So I don't think that at any point you will ever hear Rich McKay, hear about Rich McKay going down to the training facility and saying, "Hey guys, have you heard about Catenaccio? Can we,
Catenaccio, have you heard about that?
Hey, have you all heard about this thing called a press? Have you heard about that? I mean, is that something we can look at with that? I mean,
yeah.
Come on, guys. I mean, no, he's not going to come down there and do any of that mess. I just don't think that's. I think he is strictly being kept in a business, like dollars and cents role, or negotiations. Like John said, a negotiations role. I don't think he's going to be involved in like, okay, Garth, explain the transfer strategy to me.
Well, yeah. Hey, Garth, there's a guy in the second division in Croatia that you need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right. That's not going to happen. It's just really, I don't foresee that happening. With the deals that have been made, with Atlanta and with Atlanta being one of the key parts with the World Cup coming, with U.S. soccer being drawn here, the Super Bowl, college football national championships, Final Fours, whatever it is, you want someone who has been a part of high level negotiations where there's continuity.
Yeah, you don't want
to have executives who are used to dealing with someone walk into a room and it's all brand new people, right? That's especially if you've done any sort of business at the Fortune 500 space.
Yeah,
there's expected turnover at some positions, but there are some positions on a board where it's like, okay, if there's big change here, it's a massive red flag. And that's, I think, what Arthur Blank's doing right now. He's saying, look, your strength has been proven not to be in this area. It has certainly been proven in this other area, which is more high-level negotiations. This is where I want you to be. So I know that there's going to be a lot of like on the Atlanta United side, but I just don't think that it has anything to do with the sporting side of business. This is still very, very much Garth Lagerwey's show.
Yeah, it's on the business side. It's party on, Garth.
Right.
So, I mean, it's I'm not anticipating, like I said, you have that third level of advice that you can get sometimes, and I think that's where it is. I don't think it's about how to run the business per se, because of Garth's history at RSL, his history in Seattle, and now being on the business side here in Atlanta. Garth has that experience and he's got that vig, and so you're not going to interrupt that. You're not going to interrupt that kind of a role,
right?
So I think that's what we're staring at. At least that's what I think you're going to be looking at with Rich McKay and his advisory position, or his reportage, or however you want to phrase it when it comes to the chain of command.
John, what's the date today?
The date today is 1/26/2024.
Okay, yeah. The World Cup is when?
I believe the World Cup is in about 2.5 years.
Okay. That's what this is about, guys. That's what this is about. you're going to have a lot of things. We have to look outside of just the MLS season, and look at and really pull back to the 35,000 foot view, and that's it. And so there's so much coming down the pipe that I wouldn't even worry about anything with Rich McKay and the day-to-day operations of anything. At all. Zero.
Abby with a public service. Atlanta United block parties at Sweetwater on the 24th of next month, encompassing a watch party. And she obviously thinks it's somebody just to run stuff by. Garth is making the business decisions, Atlanta United.
I don't even think it's to run stuff by. I don't even think it's to run stuff by. I think it's, like CEOs will set a strategy at a certain level, but if anything, it is like, hey, MLS, why are we not able to do like all chartered flights all the time?
Yeah, if a team wants to charter more than just X number of times a year, they ought to be able to.
Because Philly's cheap. Okay, can we get the Philly ownership out of the league?
Mr. Kroenke, sir, can you please invest a little more?
And he could. Rich can call Stan Kroenke and be like, Stan.
Bruh. And go, bruh.
Stan. Look, spend some money, man.
It's like, bruh, you do it at Arsenal.
That's right.
And you call him up and go, hey, you spent some money. You spent $3 million on Georgi Mihailovic.
Well, and look, Schlitz Malt Liquor needs number 99.
Oh, Schlitz Malt Liquor.
Schlitz Malt Liquor needs.
Oh, wow.
Needs number 99. Give the man number 99. This is absurd. Give the man 99. That's absurd.
Well, he will be wearing Sleesh will be wearing 6, and so Emilio, to your point, does Nick think the fan base overreacts? That's what Mondays are for. Yeah. So on Monday, we firmly anticipate, as we say, we don't call it a reaction Monday for nothing.
Right.
It literally is over, under, on par, and we're anticipating a lot of the former on Monday when we come in and want to discuss what happened in Birmingham, much like we have with Messi and friends, where obviously the world is falling apart as they're flying to Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the 2 matches and CR38 where they were supposed to be touring China, I think. And they're like, well, no, we're not going to do that because CR38's injured. He's nursing a muscular injury. I think it's a groin or a hammy or something. And it's like, no, we're not canceling. We'll be back. But obviously the world's falling apart with Messi and friends, and the world will be falling apart on Monday. And we will discuss on Monday as we get ready for Memphis 901. By the way, Memphis 901 sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
Glassy is not holding back signing folks.
Mm-mm.
Nico Brett in USL Championship. He is now a part of Glassy's crew with Memphis 901. That's going to be a sneaky fun match to watch just to see how Glassy can orient Memphis 901 in the Eastern Conference or in the conference. I think they're in the West. But in USL Championship this year, Memphis 901, they brought in a lot of firepower. It's going to be interesting for those in Athens to get a sneak peek about that when it comes to USL Championship. 99, Dell, it's a team decision. You get Red Bulls and BWP wears a 99, but I think that it is specifically a team-by-team thing. And Atlanta United, I don't think wants anybody above like 35 unless you're, a second-team player coming up for a cup of coffee. And then you'll get like a high 30s number or a 40s number, something like that. You won't be wearing 99. And we were reminded, by the way, by Hutch that it's 99's 63rd birthday today. Wayne Gretzky turns 63 today.
There you go, Wayne.
So the great one has turned 63.
You were great at a great many things except running the Arizona Coyotes.
Woo! Oh, brother. Well, they weren't really good at running themselves, considering all the money that Wayne did not have to operate and try to bring in folks. The Coyotes, that was a mess. David, interesting idea. is it also possible Arthur might dip into the NWSL and just wants Rich to understand soccer better and be ready to roll another club under this umbrella? That could be. I still think that NWSL still needs to get its feet under him for a couple of seasons after what we talked about ad infinitum, because it needed to be talked about and still got to be talked about when Gavin Wilkinson was hired for 8 days at Sporting Kansas City. The league wants, the NWSL, once he gets its head screwed on straight, Arthur has mentioned it to Mike and to Jason and mentioned it on the air on national television that he wants the NWSL here in this market.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that he wants Rich to understand about what's going on with the NWSL, but you know that with any business venture, any sports venture with Arthur Blanken, specifically on the soccer side of things, you're going to do it right or you're not going to do it. And going into a new business venture like the NWSL, where, yes, the expansion fees are a lot bigger than they have been, and Bay FC really needs to work on their jersey. He wants into the NWSL, but it's going to be at the right moment. And having folks in to understand what's going on with the NWSL and just with soccer in general, I think it that might be a part of it, because, you know, you can never stop learning. And as an executive, when you stop learning, then I think that that's not good for you as an executive in any kind of a career path. You always want to be learning new things about what's going on around you. And if bringing Rich over to learn about soccer as a possibility to do things with the NWSL, I mean, like I said, I could see that. But you always, as an executive, I think you always want to be exposed to new things, so you're continuing to learn with the expertise, Nick, that you've been able to garner in the past.
Yeah, I think I have a bit of a different opinion of NWSL to Atlanta. I know that Arthur said that he wants it here. Everybody claims they want it here. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think that Bart brings up a good point that there's not a good enough stadium location option.
Bart and I have been talking about, well, two things. I think that what you do is you play them in the lower bowl at Mercedes-Benz, I think, first and foremost.
Oh, no, I think that's terrible.
And then what you do is you schedule double headers. I think what you do is you schedule an NWSL MLS doubleheader, and you have folks come in as a part of your soccer day in Atlanta. You start with an NWSL game, and then you finish with an Atlanta United game. But Bart and I have always talked about renovating Herndon Stadium.
I agree that Herndon Stadium is probably the best option. That's awesome. You're going to have to pay for that, one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, you know, and the question on a doubleheader is theoretically, from a time perspective, butts and seats perspective, that should work.
Yeah.
But what's the cost going to be? Because there are people who, you know, will pay season tickets for Atlanta United and, you know, probably be okay with having an extra fee put on for the NWSL seat.
Yeah.
But there will be people who won't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so they're going to say, like, okay, well, I have seats, you know, row 5, you know, section 101, row 5, seats 3 through 9.
Right.
And I don't want to pay any extra for NWSL seats. So somebody who's anticipating doing a doubleheader, now they have those seats for the NWSL, but they got to get up and leave whenever I show up for the Atlanta United game, right? So that's stuff that you have to consider. I mean, I know we think it's stupid, but, you know, it's something that has to be considered. I think Herndon Stadium is probably the best option to start with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you got to renovate it and you got to, you know, get it ready for game day and all that, that's fine. But the health of the NWSL is concerning to me.
Yeah.
There's a ton of talent, but there's like, how many teams really have their blank together? in that league?
Ooh,
I mean,
let's see. So I will submit that question as a QOD to the floor. I know that Bart probably has an answer. Having their ish together when it comes to all of the teams, I would say Angel City, yes. Bay because they're dropping dime and they drop the expansion fee. Red Stars probably has some work to do. Houston might have some work to do. Kansas City's got a new in-town stadium facility that they're building for themselves. Gotham is spending an ish load of money on bringing on the Eastern All-Stars.
well, look, FC Gold Pride and WPS spent all of the money to bring in Marta and Alex Morgan and everyone else, and then they were bankrupt a couple of years later. I mean,
right. Courage has been fairly solid financially. Orlando, I don't know. Portland is turning themselves into the Western version of a super team. Racing Louisville, I think, they're okay. I mean, they're not going to break the bank, but they've made some key acquisitions. San Diego is filling Snapdragon with 20,000 plus. Reign will be an interesting case study. The return of Utah Royals will be an interesting case study. In Washington Spirit, Michelle Kang, who owns a lot of other franchises and has other business interests, other interests, not interests, but interests. Michelle Kang is willing to invest. So I would say right now you have a majority of the owners in the NWSL who are investing and looking to invest, while you have some others that I still immediately have questions over. So I would say more than 50% just on premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. For anyone who questions my credentials on speaking on this subject, I worked for
You did
WPS. I was with the Atlanta Beat. I'm a huge proponent of women's professional soccer and making sure that it is successful and it thrives. I have a lot of questions about ownership groups that get involved in that sport, because for too long I have watched too many people get into that sport for the wrong reasons and get out too quickly. Mm-hmm. So I think Blank would be a great owner for NWSL. I think he'd put resources behind it. I don't want just the lower bowl of Mercedes-Benz, because I don't want those ladies playing in a cavernous environment with only the lower bowl available.
No, I think that if you bring in like Alex Morgan in San Diego, or if you bring in Angel City, or if you bring in Gotham or Portland, that, you should open it up to 70,000. Absolutely, you should.
Yeah, at least open the second level up, as an option there. But I do think that there are a lot of questions for me for NWSL. I just don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Yep. Maddie's keeping an eye on the Klopp presser. Quote, with all the responsibility you have in this job, you have to be at the absolute top of your own game, and I am. But I've been doing this for 24 years now, and when you've had the career I've had, it's because you've invested absolutely everything you had. I realize that my resources are not endless, and I prefer to put absolutely everything in this season and then have a break or whatever. We are not young rabbits anymore, and we do not jump as high as we did.
Good for him.
So that's part of your 10 o'clock Klopp presser. Anticipating Bart joining into this discussion since he has been since he absolutely wants in on this. And yes, Abby has said that you missed meeting Maddie in person last night. It was great meeting her in person. So, like I said, Maddie's the morning show producer. She's in charge of the ones and twos.
That's right.
And speaking of being in charge of the threes and fours, we bring in Bart Keeler. So what's up, Bart?
We were talking NWSL, so I figured I had to jump in.
So Nick has questions about the current state of affairs of the NWSL and owners and investing, and concerns about the levels of investment. Personally, I'm looking at Bay FC's jersey and going, dude, you got to improve. Are you being pursued with the Steelers today?
Well, what's going on? Oh, there's a
run,
fire
Bart,
truck.
Run.
Yeah, there's a fire truck going down the street.
So NWSL, you and Nick Alifi, go.
Well, I think Nick has a lot of valid points, and I think if you're a fan of the league, like a lot of people in the chat are, and a lot of people in the US are, not necessarily of a team, but a fan of the league, you do see a lot of big moves being made, a lot of money being thrown at players, which is great. But we're not even a full 2 years removed from the Yates report and all of the fallout from that. And so while NWSL is recovering and rebuilding from that, Arthur Blank isn't going to just, invest in a team in a league that is still proving itself. Right. And I think that's kind of the thing that we in Atlanta need to be a little patient with, is because as much as we see NWSL as a steady thing, because it's, 12 years old at this point, it's been tumultuous for a while. I mean, we're not even a full, maybe a full five years almost of kind of splitting from what U.S. Soccer was doing to boost the league. There's a lot of change that has happened since 2019 and really since 2022 with this league. And it's unfair to say that it is a fully liable or a viable, investment right now. And there are tons of owners who are investing. Michelle Kang, you mentioned, is a great example. But to be a little, not critical, but, poke a little bit of hole into that argument, she didn't build a stadium. She's using what DC United built.
And better than DC United, hopefully.
Well, that stadium is also a dump. I'm sorry. Yes. It's probably the worst. It's the worst MLS stadium ever built, and that includes Crew Stadium. But whatever.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying all of them need to build their own stadium. I don't think we need to have a bunch of Kansas Cities out there building a stadium in the same, geographic location as another MLS.
Omaha.
Yeah. Omaha. But it is still a developing league, and it's going to be tough to pitch investment into a league that is still figuring itself out. Now, this new TV rights deal, fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm Blank, I'm looking at this going, okay, how does this actually work years 1 and 2 of this new media rights? Because we all know that's where the money comes from. And so, whoop, there we go. My camera was blocked. Dude. We all know that money comes from media rights. Right. And so that's where Blank is probably going to take a year or 3 to assess fully, and then figure out if he wants to actually invest. But Nick, yeah, I know, you have seen 2 top level women's professional soccer leagues in this country fail. Mm-hmm. And NWSL is doing the best. Yep. But remember, MLS wasn't really a viable league until, almost year 20. Let's be real honest.
Yeah, no, completely agree on that. Completely agree. And I admit that, I have, at watching WPS with the stars that they had, I was like, okay, this is it. This is going to be the one that's going to work. And, did I think putting the beat up in Kennesaw was the best idea? No.
Terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Do I think that the marketing of WPS was done correctly? No. Did the TV deal do any favors to WPS? No, not at all. But the talent was there. And I watched as teams started pumping money into, building a fantastic roster. And then there's a difference between spending money, dumping in cash, and having it be viable, and dumping in cash and having it go bust, because you're not doing anything financially sustainable. I think the league NWSL is different than WPS, because I think they've done a better job of vetting people with longer money than what WPS did. WPS was full of hobby owners who couldn't get into major sports, and they got into women's soccer instead. But this right here, I think it could go places, but I'm still gun shy. I'm still gun shy on it.
Well, all that said, to be quite honest, is they just kind of, and I'm not saying fully, but kind of did that with the new ownership in Boston. I think they were desperate for a team in Boston, gave a franchise to the first group that could put up any sort of kind of money. Their stadium plan is atrocious. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It is bad. It is bad.
Yeah.
It does not. I am concerned that we will be without a Boston franchise in 5 years.
Yeah.
To be honest, they haven't even played a game yet. I'm understanding, but the stadium plan is bad. I'm not quite sure where their money actually is coming from. And again, we're still in that situation. And that's concerning. But, Blank has money. Blank is also not young by any stretch.
Right. 82.
And so I do think there's some level of AMBSE trying to position itself for a post Arthur Blank world. What that looks like, obviously, we're trying to figure out. But the NWSL still is in a growth mindset, and not in the same way that MLS is trying to grow. NWSL is still trying to grow to be sustainable, and it's not quite there yet. But the biggest piece of the puzzle for an Atlanta team would be an in-town or about in-town soccer stadium, which I'm sorry, I just don't think I'm with you, Nick. I don't think Mercedes-Benz Stadium makes any sort of sense, because as much as I think we'd all love that we're selling 30,000+ seats for women's professionals team here in Atlanta. That is not the norm for NWSL. And anything less than 30,000 in that stadium that we love, even with the soccer configuration, is going to feel a little empty.
Yeah. And I think that's what we saw in the early days of, not even the early days, I think even through the, the late, mid 2000s for MLS in some of these major stadiums. We still see it. We still see it with the Revs, right? When the Revs play up in Gillette and they're not exactly killing it, what happens, right? The stadium becomes like unbelievably cavernous, and you can hear the emptiness on the live broadcast.
I mean, look at Chicago right now.
Oh, yes.
They moved back to Soldier Field, which they thought was going to be a slam dunk move, and it's been terrible. Granted, the stadium they had was again, somehow the only place in Chicago you couldn't get via public transit, which is baffling to me. But the stadium they had was great. And now they're in Chicago and the Soldier Field, and it's just not a good atmosphere.
And Madison in the chat is saying, "Whoa, what's wrong with Kennesaw? Everything's wrong with Kennesaw. It's impossible to get to if you are south of Kennesaw and you are trying to get to anywhere north at during the week. Let's say you have a Wednesday night game. I've got to fight. I live in Dunwoody. I've got to fight 285 and I've got to fight 75 to go to a game for 90 minutes. I'll spend longer in traffic getting to Kennesaw than I will actually having my butt in a seat watching a game. That is a non-starter for me. I was there when they were building Fifth Third Bank, right?
I was there when it opened.
Yeah. So everybody was saying the same thing. This is, who are we planning to draw here? And they said, well, Top Hat Soccer's up here. Okay, great. Who else?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I lived in Gwinnett, right? I'm born and raised in Gwinnett.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I was living in Gwinnett. For me to get to Kennesaw, I might as well go to Charlotte.
Right.
It's
true.
I mean, especially at that point in time when they're doing all the construction ever. Not that they've never not constructed anywhere between Gwinnett and Kennesaw.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like Kennesaw, you say, oh, well, they got it. The stadium is nice. I'm not saying anything about Kennesaw State's stadium, but is there a way to build that stadium in the city of Atlanta? Because Georgia State isn't really a great option either, because it's turf. It's not multi-purpose in the same way that we would like it to be. It can be used for soccer. It isn't a soccer stadium. Maybe you find a way to make something work at Herndon. Again, that's going to take a lot of money. And as every day passes, that stadium just gets in a little bit more disarray and disrepair. But that is, to me, still the most logical option. But that's going to cost a lot of money. And Clark Atlanta now owns it. And we don't really know what their plans are for it. As much research as I tried to do, they don't seem to explain it. there are options. I mean, you could go outside the perimeter if it's, say, similar to the Battery, where it's okay, yeah, outside the perimeter, but not far, along a major interstate, fairly easy to get to. But again, you're alienating what I think Atlanta United does better than just about any fan base in MLS is get in-town fans to the game.
Mm-hmm. That they do. Jarrett, you didn't think you'd be wandering into an NWSL discussion, did you?
You know how you can solve a lot of these problems? Well, you can't solve them because it's hard to do it in 2024, the year of our Lord. It'd be great if we had invested in public transit decades ago in this country and specifically in this city.
Well, now we've just gone a whole different route.
Well, because imagine if you just took the MARTA line up from the city. Imagine if you created a line up from the city up to Kennesaw and you just dropped off at town center.
Well, see, Jarrett, here's the thing though, is that if, when I steal a TV, I want to make sure that I need to wait. It's hard for me to wait 25 minutes for the train to arrive, sneak the TV onto the train, take the train down to 5 Points, catch the connector to go back up the Gold Line to the Chambly.
All while surrounded by MARTA police officers.
Yes, completely. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So here's the thing is that, I think that people in Kennesaw may have a concern with me stealing TVs on their MARTA line. So that's probably why they haven't put it in yet.
I don't think they'll have as much of a concern about you specifically, Nick, but I can't quite put my finger on why.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right.
Very cheap, efficient form of transportation that has served me well for years. So magically doesn't work on the Northwest side. I don't know.
Ricky wants to commit crimes in Henry County and not drive.
Yes, exactly. All right. Hang on. Guys. All right. I know. Maddie's on the 1s and 2s. So, Maddie, go for it. What you know?
Hey, y'all. Giving just some more Klopp stuff from his press conference right now. Right. He's being pretty lighthearted about most of the things. Like one of the biggest things, lighthearted moment, he looked into the camera and said his decision has nothing to do with Liverpool's owners and Fenway Sports Group. So no conspiracies there, unless you still want to conspiracize, which you're more than welcome to.
Conspiracize. That's a good word. We'll have to remember
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just came up with it. I think it fits really well with what we're talking about here. He's still convinced that this is the right thing to do. And he has completely emphasized that no country for another year, no English club ever. Klopp's very strong on that. And he even said that even if he has nothing to eat, he will not come back to another English club other than Liverpool.
Wow.
But, also too, there's been a lot of talks just about if he's going to have any sort of involvement in who's going to succeed him at Liverpool. Pretty much praises the front office staff. Most likely he will not have a say in whatever it is. That's just kind of normal, though. I believe that that's not something that's normal that happens, even with the stature that Klopp does have. And then today, one of these ones that I did find, which I really did like that, and I'll leave it on this as I'm still looking for many other things for this. Today, Klopp said to a interviewer, he said, "Today I will answer 500,000 questions if you want, but that's it until the end of the season because we have so many things to do, and I am fully in that mindset."
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, keep listening on things and keep us honest on the 1s and 2s, Maddie.
I got you. Have fun with your NWSL chat.
And among other things, yes, no doubt about it. So Maddie's going to keep doing stuff. Liverpool CEO Billy Hogan says FSG chief Mike Gordon will play a leading role in finding Jurgen Klopp's replacement, adding there won't be a running commentary. When we're ready to talk about things, we will. We won't get into the name game, though, end quote. So there
he said nothing about Scotland, just England or Wales for that matter.
That's true. So next head coach at Wrexham once Phil Parkinson's out. Is that what you're saying? When they get up to
taking the Swansea job.
Yeah. Hey,
you said you were not. No, I
didn't say Wales.
Didn't say anything about Wales.
I didn't say Wales.
Folks about to learn some geography.
He's going to actually go be the manager of the first Northern Ireland club in the Premier League. That'll be fun.
All right. So where were we in the discussion before the developing story? The MARTA line. being an issue when it comes to any kind of stadium or anything like that if you're going to do it outside the city of Atlanta. I'm right there with all of you guys. Nick, have you ever had an instance where you've been having to use a MARTA line, then a bus pass, and then something else to make sure that whatever it is that you are holding, whether it was procured or purchased, is creating issues past MARTA police officer?
A stolen television or a stolen car radio?
Yeah.
Typically I found that the MARTA police are very gullible. And if I
the word gullible is not in the dictionary, is that how you started the conversation?
Well, no, but what I did is I wore simply a large trench coat and said, "Man, I've been eating a lot of donuts lately," as I stuffed the giant 47-inch television underneath said trench coat. So very boxy frame. I look like an extra on Willy Wonka, but that's beside the point. And I got away with it, so that just shows you that, if you too can steal televisions and board mass transportation surrounded by police.
Yes.
While waiting for things. I don't know.
Yes.
Northwest Georgia needs to figure that out. But anyway, I adore having the MARTA line right near me where I live now. So it works great. I just don't go to West Cobb for really anything because there's no need to. And it's very difficult to get there, All
right. So since we're on Klopp and Bart, you do a show on national team stuff. Let me ask you this. I mean, a lot of folks are sitting there.
Yes,
saying,
we should talk to Jurgen Klopp.
He is the next savior and make it a blank check.
Obviously, I think a blank check is asking a lot because, again, people don't want to admit that U.S. soccer does have some financial limitations. I don't think even U.S. soccer wants to admit that. But look, the reality is Greg Berhalter has not gotten off to a great start in his second tenure. He continues to coach teams that struggle to find goal-scoring opportunities. He continues to play players that have no real utility on the team outside of that game. He continues to value players for one particular characteristic or thing that they might make possibly do well over just talent in general. But yeah, Klopp would be the guy if he's free on August 8th, I think is the day after our quarterfinal matchup. If Greg doesn't make the semifinals in an at-home Copa America, which is what we did in 2016, so that's not asking too much.
Mm-hmm.
And Klopp is available. Why wouldn't you ask? I'm sorry.
Because we can't get a guy like Jurgen Klopp, Bart.
We got Jurgen Klinsmann. Why not get a better Jurgen?
Upgrade Jurgen.
I want to trade it. I want to trade in this Jurgen for an up-to-date Jurgen model.
Yeah. Give me the newest model of German Jurgens.
That's what you do. You hire him, and you just put out the USMNT puts out a tweet. We hired Jurgen, and just leave it there. Yeah.
It would be irresponsible, I think, if the tournament doesn't go the way you want. And again, I don't think that they'll do anything if we make it out of the group, but I think it's a legitimate gripe from fans if we don't make the semis, which again is what we did the last time we hosted this thing. I mean, Jurgen Klopp being available is a million times better than Jose Mourinho being available, or any of the other guys who big names who are available. Jose is past it. I'm sorry. I would never want to watch a Jose Mourinho team play soccer ever.
Yeah, ask that one about Jose Mourinho.
Well, yeah, he's done. I mean, there's no we saw this at Roma, right? That whatever mystical, magical abilities Jose Mourinho has, they're gone now. They've abandoned him, and so there's no tactical wizardry. There's no master manipulator, the man who has the fingers in all the pies, and he's ready to, make you fear playing him. Those days are done. He's an old man yelling at a cloud now. And it's kind of sad to see. And I just wish that he would just take some time off and walk away. But he is proving that, either you leave the game or the game leaves you. And the game has left him. But no, not Jose for a year or two. No, absolutely not.
Get him before year 3.
No, if you've watched Roma, the answer is no. But he is not the answer. Greg Berhalter is not the answer. You need to go big. And I mean, hell, call Nagelsmann or call Klopp. But you need to get somebody in here who understands what success is, like really understands what success is, and understands like the weight and pressure of a big time tournament. Both of those guys, Nagelsmann and Klopp, have done magical things in Champions League. They understand pressure, and I think that they would be able to sit here and get something out of this U.S. men's national team that could be exciting on a home tournament. But U.S. soccer has proven time and time again on the men's side that they just really like, unseasoned chicken breasts. They really like
boiled goose.
Boiled meat. Big fan of boiled meat. The women's side, they go for it. They go big. They get spicy. I love it. But the men's side, I don't know. Yeah. Nepotism's cool. Nepotism works, I suppose. I don't
know. Since we got a half hour.
Bart, look at Bart he's ready to say something.
Oh
he's
yeah, I mean, hit it.
I think I've.
No, it's just.
Sorry.
I mean, you're completely right, Nick, in the fact that they hired Greg because they felt like, even without the nepotism, we could put that aside for half a second.
Yes,
they felt he was the best American option to lead the U.S. men's national team after a complete failure that was both Jurgen and then Bruce Arena. I think, again, my issue has been consistently that he did not do anything to deserve a second term. He really didn't. We finished barely qualifying for the World Cup. We got out of a difficult group, but lost in the round of 16, doing no better than any other coach before him, really. Let's be honest. Jurgen Klinsmann did it, and Jurgen Klinsmann is a terrible soccer manager. Sorry, he's not good.
Correct.
And he managed to get around to 16 with a objectively less talented squad. Sorry, Omar Gonzalez starting at center back.
Yes.
Wow.
Come on, John. It was like starting the Iron Giant at center back.
Omar Gonzalez and Matt Beasler. Good Lord. No offense to either of those two gentlemen, but just saying that we have an objectively better squad. And Berhalter didn't do anything to deserve a second term, let alone after everything that went down, which would have made it super easy to just say, hey, thanks. We're appreciative of what you did. Let's move on. It would have been so easy to do that. And yet here he is again. As Nick said, he's I don't know if y'all are on TikTok, so I apologize, but the TikTok of someone boiling chicken and rice together in the same pot, and it's just one hail
thing.
Yes, John, you can do it. It's an efficient way to cook chicken. I'm not even going to say it isn't. But yeah, that's what Greg does. And it's like, yes, it works. Is it good? No. It will get you protein, a starch, and you can cook some frozen vegetables in a microwave and it'll be fine. No, hobo stew at least has flavor. I'm sorry. Sorry, Abby. You're talking about adding things that involve some sort of spice. The only spice he gets is because, a Tim Weah or Christian Pulisic want to pull a move off on the wing. And that's because they're smart enough to do that. It is, if anything, we give him credit for accomplishing things that any other coach should accomplish with this team. If you want to make a big splash, looking at 2026, if you want to show that we want to win a World Cup on home soil. Do you think that Greg or Jurgen Klopp is the guy to do that?
That's about as loaded a question as you're going to get.
It's not a loaded question. It's a simple question, John. I'm sorry. The answer is Jurgen Klopp.
Yes, it is.
One of those men has won a high-level knockout tournament. The other is Greg Berhalter, who, by the way, not one damn time did he win a trophy in MLS as a manager.
Not one.
I'm sorry.
No.
Y'all keep telling me he was a good MLS manager, and I hear this. I hear this from everyone who's been involved. Oh, well, Columbus was terrible and all that. I don't care. He did not. He managed to have a 360 win percentage in MLS. You know who has that? Gonzalo Pineda, and we're not writing him off into someone to coach a national team. No offense to Gonzalo. I'm just saying.
There's the clear step forward is ambition. That's the clear step forward is ambition. I don't have to have a specific name. You don't have to present me with, like it is Jurgen or bust. I think Jurgen Klopp that's ambition. There's a series of names, plural, that are ambitious names. And they have to have a statement of intent. When you're going into 26, there's a statement of intent that needs to be made. Having Lurch and Air Force Ones is not a statement of intent. That is, we're going to continue same old. That's it.
Jurgen will wear cool Nike shoes.
He will.
If you tell him to. Okay? Yeah. The man doesn't dress like a bum.
No, he'll dress. He'll
also,
dress well,
Nick, you're right. Ambition. What ambition was shown by rehiring Greg Bart? And again, I'm not trying to just dump on the guy. I'm really not. I'm sorry. But the reality is he didn't do anything substantively to earn a second tenure. He did a very good job his first time. He beat bad Mexico teams, which we will always take. Always beat Mexico. Love that. But he struggled and continues to struggle against CONCACAF teams and legitimate competition who are not as good as we are.
There was there's an announcer for Fox Sports who, Adam Amin.
Yes.
And I worked with Adam Amin when he was coming up, when he was we covered like D3 and D2 tennis together. And we were at a restaurant in Orlando where the tournament was taking place. And we were having a conversation about something similar to this. And Adam said, one thing that has served me well, and it's advice that someone gave him, is never underestimate the power of the status quo. That there are people who just look at things and say, what's going to keep the machine running? This decision keeps the machine running. Great. Go with that. And it takes a hell of a lot of effort to break out of that mold. And that is where U.S. soccer is now. Italian soccer was there for a minute. They had ambition. They went and they hired a coach who won the Scudetto, won the league, right? And said, okay, one person's stupidity is going to be our person's gain. ADL was an idiot and fired him, Spalletti. So we're going to bring him in. And, there's hope now. I don't hear a lot of hope from U.S. men's national team fans. And you have one of the best managers on the planet who's going to be available come summer. I think you should reach out to him.
I just want them to reach out. Also, a random aside to a comment.
Well, it is a Friday, Bart, so no aside is ever random.
Yeah. 50 matches in NWSL this season will be on weeknights. 50 between Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Schedule came out yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, NWSL schedule came out yesterday. Go check that out. NWSLsoccer.com. That is a lot which most of those are on Friday, which is part of the new TV contract. Which again, how many times have we said on this show? This here, soccer down here, soccer on a Friday. Frickin' do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Frickin' do it. And NWSL said, thanks, MLS. We'll take that time spot.
Thanks,
you vacated,
SDH.
And we'll put that on
SDH.
cable.
Yeah. SDH, we like that idea.
Yeah,
Well,
at least Burnham's been listening to us. But can you imagine trying to get fans on a Friday night out to Kennesaw?
No.
So that would be tough.
That's some rough ish right there, man.
Hopefully, I win the jackpot today. We're building a state. We're renovating Herndon Stadium. We're turning it into a world-class venue for soccer and other sports. And we're playing there in 2027, maybe.
There you go. I wanted to now, Bart. We're not stealing any of your content for your next Soccer for US POD.
Which, by the way, I have an episode that I definitely need to edit today and get to you. So
okay. So then we're going to have another Soccer for US POD posted on the network. We're going to have Prim and Proper a little later posted as well because it's in between weekend and it's FA Cup and Gummy Bear Cup and all those other kinds of things. It looks like, and since we're talking about things that are rubbing us the wrong way. As of an hour ago, the FIFA Appeal Committee dismissed the appeal of former Spanish Football Association President Luis Rubiales, upholding his 3-year ban from all football activities at the national and international levels. They put out a very pretty press release that is 4 paragraphs long without any quotes, rendered their decision against the decision issued by the disciplinary committee, banning him from all activities. After analyzing the submissions presented to it and conducting a hearing, the appeal committee decided to dismiss the appeal and to confirm the sanction imposed upon Mr. Rubiales. Among other considerations, the appeal committee was comfortably satisfied that Mr. Rubiales behaved in a manner contrary to the principles enshrined under Article 13 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code during and after the final of the Women's World Cup. Findings of the decision passed by the appeal committee were notified today to Mr. Rubiales. In accordance with the relevant provisions of the FIFA Disciplinary Code, he has 10 days in which to request a motivated decision, which, if requested, will be subsequently published on legal.fifa.com. The decision is subject to a possible appeal before the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That's where I think this is heading. FIFA reiterates its absolute commitment to blah, 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 whatever. Okay, fine. That's 4 paragraphs. I like how they say a motivated decision. You want a motivated decision? Dude shouldn't be anywhere near the sport ever again. That's a motivated decision. But FIFA's wording, I know, is Swiss and European, but they say, yeah, if you're requesting an expedited, I think would be the word that we use here in this side of the planet, an expedited decision within 10 days. So Luis Rubiales is still persona non grata when it comes to international soccer. Thank the baby Jesus.
He should go join his mom in a hunger strike.
Yeah. Let's see. So Jurgen Klopp answered questions, according to Maddie, for about 45 minutes. Probably all of them were about what was going on today. Feels the success of Liverpool helped convince him as a more energized that a more energized manager should step up to coach. I am who I am and where I am because of how I am. With all the good and the bad things. When I cannot be that anymore, stop it and tell the people. That's how I understand it.
Yeah. The modern day Rene Descartes. I love it.
Yes. I'm motivated, therefore I am. Asked if there's anything that could happen over the rest of the season that would change his mind, kind of like Sir Alex did when he double clutched on his departure. He says that, and it was a revelation to Klopp, who can't get his head around it. Also said there are no circumstances that would change his mind, but mostly he can't believe that Sir Alex did that.
Well, if you look at Manchester United after Alex left, it makes more sense why he double clutched.
Well, and I think that's fair, Jarrett, though, because Liverpool has always been a fairly top quality team, both in Europe and England, without Klopp. I mean, they had success before. They should hopefully have success after if you're a Liverpool fan. Whereas Manchester United is and was Sir Alex Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some success after him, but he was and built that club, whereas Liverpool has had a history of success throughout their, they're the winningest team club in England for a reason.
Yes.
Look, if Liverpool wants him back, I will personally ship Brendan Rodgers back.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
What's funny is they're about a year. Unfortunately, they're a year off because that would have been, to me, Liverpool would have been a great landing spot for Big Ange.
So there it is, Jarrett.
Timing means something. Timing.
I know.
I mean, if the timing is a little different, Spurs would be looking at a team like Liverpool getting one of the best managers out there, going from one to another. It'd have been like the Green Bay Packers fans and the Chicago Bears fans. The Bears fans watching as yet again another quarterback steps up and is very successful while they keep floundering over in the Windy City.
Yeah,
but no, timing works, and so Spurs get to have Jarrett's favorite manager for the foreseeable future.
Brendan Rodgers in my basement. No, I would not keep him on the property.
You're kicked out.
Yeah, I don't want him in a certain radius of me personally. Yeah. He's not here. But if you wanted a heel move, man, let's just entertain for a minute. If Liverpool put a big check in front of Ange tomorrow.
Oh man.
Hey, Bart, you're making that face. And for the right amount of money.
Of all the things that I would love
no?
to see in life, Spurs plummeting again, that would be top of my list.
Says the Arsenal guy. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, look, the Rumble is this weekend, so we need more heels.
That's true. Absolutely true. Other piece of business, Bart. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. It has to do with our friends north of the border up at CSB, and I didn't know if this was going to be. Canadian soccer business. This is from our buddy Neil Davidson at the Canadian Press. Canadian soccer business takes back broadcast rights from Media Pro and launches legal action. CSB and Media Pro have gone into court in a dispute that will have and this is Neil's wording, a major ripple effect on the sport in Canada. Both sides are blaming each other for the breakdown, but the legal action essentially means Canada's soccer business has taken back their broadcast rights to all of its properties and is looking for new broadcast and media partners. CSB, whose ownership group and board includes the Canadian Premier League owners, looks after marketing and broadcast rights for both the CPL and Canada Soccer. MediaPro is based in Barcelona. MediaPro Canada owns One Soccer, the streaming service that airs both CPL and Canadian national team matches. And this means that One Soccer will not have any Canadian content at the moment. It's their core stuff. National team, CPL, that's what One Soccer does. Now they don't have it. CSB alleges MediaPro, quote, failed to meet significant contractual obligations, including defaulting on the majority of its rights fees for 2023 and failure to secure broader audiences for Canada's national teams, the Canadian Championship, and the Canadian Premier League. So basically, CSB is saying that One Soccer didn't do enough promoting of the entities that were on the air. Their decision to pursue legal action wasn't one they took lightly, felt it was necessary. By taking back full control of our rights, we will immediately have the opportunity to do so with new partners who have the ability to reach larger audiences. CSB declined further comment other than the one paragraph statement, but it is believed the money in dispute is well in the millions. MediaPro is obviously pointing the finger at CSB, saying it's become clear CSB has been and will be unable to fulfill its side of our commercial agreement. Statement said MediaPro's invested more than $60 million to create an ecosystem for the Canadian game and its fans, new production facilities, capabilities, online communities. One Soccer believe that no entity has invested more in Canadian soccer than MediaPro. And clearly CSB's hope is that the break with MediaPro will lead to a more satisfactory media partner and getting its product out to more viewers. I'd like to know where the hell they think they're going to get another partner. TSN, Sportsnet, CBC, they ain't paying that kind of money. They're not going to invest in that kind of stuff. It might be a time buy, and CSB will sit there and go, "Oh, I don't know about that." But where I think you might have choked your golden goose here.
Well, you know a little bit more about the Canadian sports media landscape than you, John. But I'm with you, and the fact that also from a convenience standpoint, you had them all on one platform. Yes, it was a little hard to get into in terms of there's the paywall, but as we constantly remind people, cable is also a paywall. No one wants to admit that, though.
Yep.
this is just another day in Canada soccer being completely inept. Sorry. Because I'm not sure I think the problem is CSB is clearly not getting the financial boost they thought they would be getting. And they're blaming everyone else but themselves. This was the crux of the argument with Canada soccer. They basically ruined Canada soccer.
Yeah.
Because they wanted all the money for themselves, and they're not, they're basically taking all the money because there's not the profit they thought they were going to get. So now they're blaming One Soccer and Media Pro for not living. And I'm sure their criticisms are legitimate, but at the end of the day, too, what are you doing to make the sport better in the country other than fielding teams, in most of them in temporary stadiums on patches of grass that may or may not be in public parks.
So I legitimately don't know where CSB thinks they're going to get the space to air what's going on. And you've got all these networks, but they've got their grids that are already filled. And I don't know what you're going to be staring at. Hutch, first rule of poor management: fix the blame, not the problem. Not wrong. This was something that came in the timeline here this morning, and let me see if I can find it. Son of Stan wants to know what we think about the new pro team in Georgia, the Georgia Lions. And I had to do a little research on it. It is Georgia Lions is joining NISA for the 24 season, and it is going to be the first Indian woman-owned professional club in the United States. Came back 2 weeks ago was when it was announced out of Chicago. Move is subject to U.S. Soccer Federation approval, obviously. Quote from Josh Prutch, co-founders Patrick Vierhout and Sunita Patel, along with the organization. Expanding into Atlanta is also a strong step for our Eastern profile. Patel is from a small town outside of Surat, India. History of success, diverse business portfolio. Also the owner of the Sportif apparel company. Vierhout brings invaluable knowledge. GLFC founded in 2020 as East Atlanta FC in Conyers before being transferred to 2023 to Vierhout. Club currently plays on the pitches of Rockdale Youth Soccer. Recently, the club announced plans to invest up to $5 million in upgrades and renovation. And so the Georgia Lions are joining NISA for the 24 season. I had heard stuff that there was going to be an Atlanta area club that was going to be NISA. Yes. Once again, subject to USSF approval. But, sir?
No, Bot.
Oh, Bot. Oh, yes, Ken Schlosser, who is doing things apparently one thing at a time.
I'll be honest. NISA's got a lot of convincing to do if I'm going to care about a new NISA club. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the concern with NISA here is, we were talking about a league that had trouble paying refs, right? They couldn't pay the refs to run games. And I love the idea of more professional teams being available for different parts of town, right? And I think, like, if you go to London, right, it's what stadium, each one for a different neighborhood, right?
Yep.
And I think that's great. And I think that we need stuff like that here in the U.S. And if you have a dream of a pyramid, a true pyramid, you need to grow wide, and that can help. So NISA has to figure out their own financial health.
Mm-hmm.
That's critical. I love the idea of the Georgia Lions. I love the background of their ownership. I think that's wonderful. Diverse ownership is always a great thing. Figure out your financial health as a league, NISA. Then we will be more happy to talk about the heavy positives with you expanding.
Yep, and I remembered the East Atlanta element in all of this. NISA
East Atlanta. That also is the funny part. Is like, I'm glad they changed their name from East Atlanta to Georgia Lions, because calling that East Atlanta is like, calling Buford North Atlanta. Like,
Yeah.
come on now.
Apparently, Vegas Legends are also joining in 25 after the Georgia Lions are playing this year. The schedule, trying to see when the schedule actually kicks in. And it looks like it's like March. So like late March is what we would be looking at regular season for 24. And so we'll keep an eye on things there. But yeah, NISA's got a lot of work to do and a lot of proving of the stuff. 5-minute warning. And before I get into round robin final thoughts, and this has been fun. I like the idea that everybody has parachuted in and is venting their spleens appropriately and all of that kind of stuff. It's fun to have everybody in here crashing on a Friday. So let me see what's on TV today. And AFCON and Asia Cup, if you haven't had the chance to watch, you better, because it's crazy and nuts and out of control. So it'd be nice. I don't want to know about what's being read. I don't want to know about any of that stuff. At the downtown stadium in Omaha. All right, so BN has Liga at 3 o'clock. BN and Español is simulcasting. If you don't have BN or CDO or For the Fans or TIC or Nuestra Tele, Gold TV, all that stuff, you can get it at fanatisfntz.co/soccer down here, and you can be a part of that and get hooked on it like Jason got me hooked on it. I blame him. Olympic qualifying at 6 o'clock tonight. Brazil and Colombia at 6 o'clock on FS2. Deportes has La Liga at 3 o'clock. 2NA has Liga MX at 8. DAZN USA has German Frauen Bundesliga at 12:30. Werder Bremen, Bayer Leverkusen. The Plus has Bundesliga B at 12:30. La Liga at 3. Four matches in the FA Cup, all at 2:45, except for Spurs and Manchester City. That's at 3 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has Olympic qualifying at 3 with Bolivia and Ecuador. Golazo Network has Argentine Primera at 7:15. Paramount Plus has Serie A, Cagliari, and Torino, and 4 matches, a doubleheader at 5 and a doubleheader at 7:15. In the Argentine Primera, VIX has Tijuana and Guadalajara at 10. So that's what to watch and where to watch it. All right. So last thoughts. Yeah, 3 AFCON managers have been fired or resigned. Absolutely. It is Hutch. It is spleen cleaning down here on a Friday. Jarrett, last thoughts from you, sir, on a Friday. What else is on your mind? Get it off your chest before we head to Birmingham on the weekend.
Same thing I said last weekend. Preseason is a time of you're going to approach this however you really decide to approach this, and that's kind of a weird sentence, but be as happy as you choose to be about preseason games, because it's preseason. And by that I mean, like, if your team wins in preseason, a lot of times it doesn't mean anything. Well, you can take something positive away from it. Team loses in preseason doesn't mean the sky is actively falling.
What?
It's going to be okay. Whether you think so or not, it's going to be okay. So, yeah. See what the hell happens, man. I won't be there with everybody, unfortunately, this weekend. But
you'll be watching like everybody else.
Yes, but yeah, just don't get too high or low. Just enjoy preseason. Also, somebody please God get LAFC some players, because they have like 16 people in that roster right now.
Well, I mean, you're the only person outside of LAFC who's clamoring for LAFC to get more players, and their leading scorer wants out, so they got that going for them, which is nice.
I think they're doing fine.
See, Bart, what else is on your mind? What else is on your spleen to vent before we go?
It's spleen. Oh goodness, I hope my spleen's in okay condition. I want to just kind of take a second to remind people that we are lucky to have managers like Jurgen Klopp, who do seem to prioritize the good spirits of the sport, and for the most part aren't trying to give in to the unfortunate underswells of greed, of ethical conflicts. And, I think we could all do a little bit better to look into those types of people and remember why we love not just the sport, but sport in general.
All right. We'll bring in Maddie, who's in charge of the ones and twos. Maddie, last thoughts for the week. What's on your mind that you have to get off your chest? Vent your spleen and spleen cleaning down here.
Ooh. Well, I mean, I kind of echoing too with what Bart said. It's nice to have kind of that realization, that there are those coaches out there or those people out there in the sport who actually care about the well-being of the sport and don't care about the money aspect of it all. I feel like we talk a lot about the greed. We talk a lot about these clubs and these teams, going to places just for the money. And so it's nice to hear kind of that press conference. It was nice to hear that perspective from Klopp and seeing where that goes. And my final thoughts, Klopp to U.S. men's national team. That's it.
There you go. Nick, final thoughts. What else is in your spleen cleaning down here for the week?
I have to echo Bart nailed it. To see somebody with principles depart the game is, it's sad, but, I salute to him for going out on, the way he wanted to go and not sticking around and compromising who he is or his principles or beliefs. So to me, that's something that's critical. I'm not going to add on anything else because I think Bart encapsulated it perfectly. That's it for me.
All right. Couple of other things. I know Dell is wondering about Gio. He says Mohamed Houdou's back playing for West Ham. Gio, Nottingham Forest, or Marseille, it's wherever Jose Mendez wants him to go. That is the bottom line. That is the
Marseille
bottom line.
is the better option.
Yeah.
And Abby reminding us about what happened last night. Next time we do Top Golf, Mike and Maddie have to play. Thanks to everybody who came out last night to Top Golf in Midtown or Northwest Atlanta or Chattahoochee Industrial District or wherever you want to say it was. Thanks for being there to help out the Southern Crescent Soccer Foundation and the start of their mini pitch. And thanks to our friends at the Georgia Revolution were there. 92.9, the game was there. And it was a fun night had by all. It was a great start. scsoccerfoundation.com is where you can get more information about all that. Remember, tomorrow it is Atlanta United, probably in a downpour, at Protective, going up against Birmingham Legion after the fact. Ghost Train Brewing, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. We will be there to do a post-game show, hang out with you guys for a little while. It's going to be me and Maddie and anybody else that wanders in. Kaylor Hodges from the USL show will be there. Hopefully some Birmingham Legion folks will be there as well. So it'll be a fun time there. Just be safe getting there. Be safe coming home. Enjoy Birmingham if you are taking it. It's been a fun week here at SDH. We're going to do it again Monday morning, 9:05, because that's what we do. So for Nick, for Bart, for Maddie on the ones and twos, for Jarrett, for all of our guests this week, and for all of you, it's the end of the show. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plot to y'all. And since it is the end of the show, it means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again. See you in Birmingham and back here 9:05 on Monday morning.